What would your life look like if you were never again controlled by fear? What dream have you buried so deep beneath doubt that even you have forgotten it? What would happen if you treated your beliefs as blueprints for your future instead of barriers from your past? Are you living a life designed by purpose or one dictated by pressure? When was the last time you failed and still moved forward anyway? If you trusted your inner power as much as you trust your doubts, where would you be today? Fear is not your enemy. It's a signal, an inner alarm, not to stop, but to prepare. What most people don't realize is that fear is a reflection of potential. You only fear the things that matter. You don't fear what doesn't hold meaning. And so, when fear rises, it's often a sign you're standing at the doorway of transformation. But here's the truth. The brain doesn't respond to fear with logic. It responds with programming. Programming built over years. And unless you consciously interrupt that pattern, fear wins every time. Now think about the second question again. What dream have you buried, not forgotten? Buried. That word matters. Because buried things are not gone, they're just hidden under the weight of excuses, rejection, and compromise. That dream, the one that came to you in moments of silence, the one that still whispers when you're alone, that dream still exists. But it can't breathe under your fear, and it will never come to life unless you do. If you want to reprogram your brain in 5 minutes a day, you don't need magic. You need truth. You need stillness. You need the courage to ask yourself every single day, what am I believing right now? Your mind is the soil, belief is the seed, and action is the water. Without belief, nothing grows. But belief without action is only a wish. Wishes fade. But when belief turns into movement, mountains shift. Most people try to act their way into confidence, but confidence doesn't begin with movement, it begins with purpose. When your why is bigger than your fear, something powerful happens. You stop negotiating with your destiny. You stop shrinking to fit the world, and you start expanding to fit your calling. There is no success without persistence, no growth without resistance. No transformation without pressure. Pressure creates clarity, and when you're under pressure, it's not to crush you, it's to wake you, to shake the old beliefs loose, to force you to see what you tolerate is what you become. You must rewire your thinking with intention. Speak life to yourself every day, not once, not sometimes, daily. Your brain is always listening. It listens when you doubt yourself, it listens when you give up halfway, and it listens when you rise up again. Teach it to listen to vision. Teach it to follow discipline, not emotion. Because your emotions are fleeting, but your purpose, your real purpose, that never leaves. You want success? Define it by the lives you impact, the growth you pursue, the battles you overcome within. You want confidence? Build it with promises kept to yourself. You want transformation? Then stop seeking comfort and start seeking clarity. 5 minutes a day, that's all it takes to break the cycle. 5 minutes of honest reflection. 5 minutes of fierce belief. 5 minutes of intentional vision. Because the moment you change your mind, you change your direction. And the moment you change your direction, you start rewriting your story. This isn't motivation. It's reprogramming, not from the outside, but from the inside out. What would your life look like if you were never again controlled by fear? This question isn't just rhetorical. It's an invitation to examine everything, your choices, your habits, your relationships, your ambitions, and ask, what part of this was shaped by fear? Because whether we acknowledge it or not, fear plays a hidden role in how we think, how we act, and what we allow ourselves to believe is possible. Fear has many faces. Sometimes it's the fear of failure, whispering that you're not good enough. Other times it's the fear of judgment, warning you not to stand out, not to speak too boldly, not to try too hard. And sometimes fear shows up disguised as practicality or logic, telling you to be realistic, to stay safe, to avoid risk. But in reality, fear is often the quiet killer of potential. It doesn't come crashing in loudly. It tiptoes into your thoughts and stays just long enough to convince you that your dreams are too big or that you're not ready. To imagine a life free from the control of fear is to envision a life of unapologetic movement, a life where you act not because you're fearless, but because you choose to honor something greater than your fear. Imagine waking up every morning with clarity instead of anxiety, with conviction instead of hesitation. Imagine pursuing opportunities without second-guessing your worth or your ability. Imagine building relationships without the constant fear of being judged, abandoned, or misunderstood. Imagine how different your voice would sound if it wasn't filtered through fear. How different your energy would feel if it wasn't drained by constant internal battles. The truth is, fear is not the problem. Being controlled by fear is. Fear is natural. It's hardwired into the human mind for survival. But most of the fears we face today aren't about survival. They're about self-permission, acceptance, identity, and uncertainty. They are mental barriers, not physical threats. And yet, our brain treats them the same. It activates the same stress response, the same doubt, the same emotional shutdown. The danger isn't real, but the feeling is. And feelings, when left unchallenged, become beliefs, and beliefs shape everything. When you're controlled by fear, you shrink. Not just physically, you shrink your vision, your voice, your dreams, your potential. You lower your standards. You settle. You say yes when you mean no. You play small because big feels risky. You build a life that's safe on the outside but suffocating on the inside. All because fear became the decision maker. But imagine this. What if fear was no longer the voice you listened to first? What if you developed the mental discipline to hear fear, acknowledge it but not obey it? What if your actions were led by belief and purpose instead of emotion and uncertainty? That's not just courage. It's a complete reprogramming of how your brain responds to discomfort. It starts with awareness. The next time you hold back, pause and ask yourself, what fear is speaking right now? Is it fear of not being enough? Fear of being too much? Fear of rejection? And once you name it, question it. Is this fear protecting me or limiting me? Most times, fear isn't saving your life. It's just saving your ego. But your ego doesn't build dreams. It builds comfort zones. And comfort zones are where dreams silently. You weren't born to live from fear. You were born to create, to lead, to speak, to build, to rise. And none of that happens when fear is in charge. So, what would your life look like if you were no longer controlled by fear? It would look bold. It would look honest. It would look purpose-driven. It would look like the life you were meant to live, not the one you've been settling for. And that life doesn't begin with the absence of fear. It begins with a decision to stop letting fear choose for you. Because every time you choose belief over fear, growth over safety, purpose over comfort, you rewire your brain. One decision at a time, one step at a time, 5 minutes a day. That's where freedom begins. What dream have you buried so deep beneath doubt that even you have forgotten it? This question is not just about recalling a distant aspiration. It's about confronting the painful truth that so many of us carry dreams that have been buried alive. Over time, we hide our deepest desires, our truest ambitions beneath layers of self-doubt, past failures, and the opinions of others. These dreams don't vanish, though. They wait in the shadows, quiet but powerful, influencing the decisions we make, the paths we choose, and the potential we leave untapped. Think about it. What if you could go back to the time when that dream first appeared to you, when it was new, untainted by fear, untainted by rejection? That moment was pure possibility. You believed it was possible and you were willing to go after it with everything you had. But over time, the world chipped away at your belief. Maybe you faced setbacks. Maybe others laughed at your idea or told you it wasn't realistic. Maybe you faced rejection and let it define your worth. And so, like many, you started to bury that dream. You started to tell yourself, maybe it was never meant to be, or maybe I'm not cut out for that. You found safety in the idea that your dream was too big, too unrealistic, too risky. And here's the tragic part. The longer you leave a dream buried, the harder it becomes to remember what it felt like to believe in it. That dream becomes less of a vision and more of a forgotten whisper, a distant memory of a time when you dared to imagine something beyond the limits of your current reality. Over time, it fades into the background noise of your life, and what once excited you now feels like a distant possibility. But the truth remains. It's still there, waiting. What do you think happens when we bury our dreams? They don't disappear. They simply take on new forms. They transform into regrets. They turn into that nagging feeling that something is missing in your life. That urge to try something new but not knowing what or how. That dissatisfaction that seems to follow you despite outward success. When we bury our dreams, we bury part of our essence. We abandon pieces of ourselves that yearn to create, to lead, to experience something greater. And in doing so, we end up living a life that is half-lived, a life designed by fear and not by purpose. Now imagine if you dared to unearth that dream, if you dared to face the fear and doubt that surrounds it. Imagine if you gave it life again. Imagine if you allowed yourself to believe that it's still possible, that you're still capable of creating it. What would that look like? It wouldn't be easy, of course. There would be moments of discomfort, fear, and uncertainty. But here's the profound truth. Discomfort is often a sign that you're on the path of growth. Fear is not an obstacle. It's a signal that you're stretching, evolving, and breaking through the boundaries of what you thought was possible. The key to reclaiming a buried dream is in the willingness to dig it up. You don't need to do it all at once. You just need to begin. Start small. Take one action. Speak one word of encouragement to yourself. Every time you act, no matter how small, you send a signal to your brain that your dream matters. You begin to challenge the stories that say it's too late, you're not good enough, it's too big. You replace those stories with a new one. I am capable. This is possible. I am the author of my future. But here's the most important part of this process. When you dig up your dream, you must also embrace the responsibility that comes with it. Every dream requires effort, sacrifice, and persistence. It demands that you step outside your comfort zone and confront your limitations. But the most powerful part of all is that as you chase your dream, you become the person you were always meant to be. The pursuit of your dream doesn't just transform your life, it transforms you. So ask yourself, what dream have you buried so deep beneath doubt that even you have forgotten it? The good news is that it's not gone. It's still there, and you can bring it back to life. One small step, one courageous decision at a time. Your dream is waiting for you to remember it. It's waiting for you to believe in it again, and more importantly, it's waiting for you to act. Because it's not too late. It's never too late. And you are more than capable of making it real. What would happen if you treated your beliefs as blueprints for your future instead of barriers from your past? Most of us go through life without realizing just how deeply our beliefs shape our actions. We often think of beliefs as abstract concepts, something we hold to be true, something that defines our views of the world. But beliefs aren't just ideas. They're the foundation upon which everything else is built. Our beliefs dictate how we see ourselves, how we interact with others, and how we approach challenges. And if we're not careful, the beliefs we've accumulated throughout our lives can become prisons, locking us into patterns that limit our potential. To truly understand the power of belief, consider this. Beliefs are not facts. They are perceptions, often shaped by our upbringing, our experiences, and the stories we've been told. But here's the game changer. Just because you've held a belief for years doesn't mean it's true. Just because you've always thought something about yourself or the world doesn't mean it has to remain that way. In fact, many of the most powerful people throughout history were able to create extraordinary lives because they dared to challenge their beliefs, to question what they were told was possible. Think about the most common beliefs that hold us back. I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. I'm too old, too young, too inexperienced. These beliefs are like chains, binding us to our past failures, our past limitations. They tell us who we are based on what we've done, not what we're capable of doing. And because we believe these limitations are real, we act in ways that confirm them. But here's the truth. Those beliefs are not the truth about you. They're simply the stories you've been telling yourself, and stories can be rewritten. Now, what if you could treat your beliefs differently? What if you viewed them not as barriers that define your limitations, but as blueprints for the future you want to build? Imagine if you shifted your focus from the beliefs that hold you back to the beliefs that propel you forward. What if you began to believe that every challenge was an opportunity for growth? What if you believed that your failures weren't signs of weakness but stepping stones on the path to success? What if you believed that you were more than enough, more than capable and worthy of everything you desire? The first step in this transformation is realizing that your beliefs are within your control. Just as you can choose your actions, you can choose your beliefs. They are not predetermined. They are not set in stone. And once you realize this, you begin to see the power you have to shape your future. Instead of seeing obstacles as proof that you're not cut out for success, you begin to see them as necessary steps that will lead you to your goals. You begin to believe that growth, not comfort, is the true measure of success. You start to understand that the only limitations that truly exist are the ones you accept. Changing your beliefs doesn't happen overnight. It requires conscious effort, persistence, and the courage to question what you've always accepted as true. But once you start to see your beliefs as the blueprints for the life you want to create, something powerful happens. You begin to make decisions based on possibility rather than fear. You begin to act from a place of power instead of limitation. And in doing so, you unlock a future that once seemed out of reach. Beliefs are not static. They evolve, they shift. And if you want to build a life that reflects your highest potential, you must be willing to rewrite the beliefs that no longer serve you. Replace I can't with I can. I'm not worthy with I am more than enough. It's too hard with I'm capable of handling this. Every time you challenge a limiting belief, you expand the possibilities of what you can achieve. The future you want is not a distant dream. It's a reality that begins with the beliefs you choose today. So the question is, what beliefs are you holding on to that no longer serve you? What beliefs are you ready to let go of, and what new beliefs are you ready to embrace? The answers to these questions will determine the course of your life. You have the power to create the blueprint for your future, and it starts with the beliefs you choose to carry forward. Are you living a life designed by purpose or one dictated by pressure? This is a question that cuts deep because at the heart of it is a truth many of us don't want to face. We often allow external pressures to shape our lives rather than creating lives aligned with our true purpose. So much of our daily existence is influenced by what others expect from us, what society tells us we should be, and what we think we need to achieve in order to feel validated. We are taught to chase success according to someone else's definition. Whether that means landing a prestigious job, achieving a certain financial milestone, or meeting societal standards of beauty, success, or happiness. But what happens when these external pressures become the driving force of your life? When we live dictated by pressure, we are constantly chasing after something that always feels just out of reach. We find ourselves running in circles, doing things that don't truly fulfill us, working toward goals that, when achieved, don't bring the deep satisfaction we anticipated. And the reason we end up feeling unfulfilled is simple. We're not following our true purpose. We're following a checklist created by others, one that doesn't resonate with our inner values or desires. Purpose, on the other hand, is a quiet but powerful force. It's the internal compass that guides you, the fire that burns inside you even when the world around you tells you to stop. When you live a life by purpose, your actions are aligned with your values, your beliefs, and the greater vision you have for your life. Purpose gives you clarity, direction, and meaning, especially during tough times. It helps you rise above the pressures of external validation and reminds you that your worth is not determined by what others think or by what you accumulate. But the key to living by purpose is making the conscious choice to listen to your inner voice rather than the voices of external influences. It's about asking yourself, what truly matters to me? What would I do if I didn't have to prove anything to anyone? What would I create if I knew I couldn't fail? When you start answering these questions honestly, you begin to align your life with what is truly important to you. When you live from purpose, there's an incredible sense of clarity that comes with it. You stop second-guessing your decisions because you know they're coming from a place of intention. You begin to realize that the pressures you once thought were necessary are actually distractions. Success, when it's aligned with your purpose, is not about meeting expectations set by others. It's about fulfilling your own potential and living authentically. It's about making choices based on what will bring you true joy and fulfillment, not just temporary gratification or approval. But living by purpose doesn't mean it's always easy. Purpose-driven lives require sacrifice. They require commitment, resilience, and the courage to say no to things that aren't in alignment with your vision. It might mean stepping away from situations, jobs, or people that aren't contributing positively to your journey. It might mean facing uncomfortable truths about the things you've been doing or the choices you've been making. But in the long run, living with purpose is what will bring you the most satisfaction. Contrast that with living by pressure. When you live under constant pressure to meet other people's expectations, you may achieve things, but those achievements often feel empty. You might earn the recognition you sought, but it won't feel as meaningful because it wasn't aligned with your true self. The pressure to keep up with others or to achieve according to societal standards can lead to burnout, confusion, and a deep sense of unfulfillment. You might find yourself wondering, why do I feel so empty even though I'm succeeding? Living a life designed by purpose, however, brings fulfillment on a deeper level. It's not about how others see you or what they think you should achieve. It's about what you feel called to create in the world. It's about waking up every day with a sense of passion and conviction, knowing that the path you're walking is uniquely yours and filled with meaning. So the question you must ask yourself is this: are you living a life that's truly yours, or are you living one that has been designed for you by the pressures of the world around you? Are you following your inner purpose, or are you constantly running after the approval of others? The choice is yours. You have the power to design a life based on your own purpose. And when you do, you will find yourself more aligned, more focused, and more at peace. Because when you live from purpose, everything else falls into place. The pressures lose their grip on you, and your life becomes a reflection of your deepest truth. What would your life look like if you approached every challenge with unwavering persistence? Persistence is often the difference between success and failure, but it's a concept that many overlook until they face an obstacle that seems insurmountable. When things get tough, the natural instinct for many is to give up, to walk away, or to retreat back into comfort. Yet those who achieve extraordinary success are not those who avoid obstacles, but those who persist despite them. Persistence isn't just about working hard. It's about having the mental fortitude to keep going when everything in you says to quit. Think about your own life. How many times have you come close to giving up, only to realize that your success was just one more step, one more effort away? Maybe you've faced a setback, a disappointment, or a failure that made you question whether it was worth it. Maybe you've had moments where you thought the dream you were chasing was too big, too difficult, or simply out of reach. But here's the secret. It's in those moments that persistence becomes your most powerful ally. The difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't talent, luck, or intelligence. It's the ability to keep going when others stop. We all encounter challenges, whether they are personal, professional, or even emotional. The path to success is rarely linear. There will be bumps, detours, and roadblocks along the way. But it's how you respond to those challenges that defines your journey. If you treat each setback as a failure, then it becomes one. But if you see it as a lesson, as an opportunity to grow, you begin to understand that every obstacle is a necessary part of the process. It's not about avoiding difficulty. It's about learning to embrace it, to push through it, and to grow stronger because of it. Persistence requires more than just willpower. It requires a deep belief in your purpose and your ability to achieve your goals. When you are deeply connected to your purpose, when you know that what you are working toward is worth the effort, persistence becomes natural. It no longer feels like a burden. It feels like a commitment to something greater than yourself. Your passion becomes the fuel that keeps you going, even when you face rejection, disappointment, or failure. There will be days when progress seems slow, and you might feel like you're not moving forward at all. But in those moments, remember this. Success is not always about the speed of your progress. It's about the direction. Every small step you take, even if it doesn't feel significant at the time, is a step closer to your goal. The key is to keep moving, even when it feels like you're not getting anywhere. Trust in the process, trust in your persistence, and trust in your ability to overcome the challenges that lie ahead. Persistence is also about maintaining your belief in yourself when others may doubt you. There will always be naysayers, those who tell you that your dream is too big or too unrealistic. But the ones who succeed are not the ones who listen to the doubters. They are the ones who keep moving forward despite the doubts, the criticisms, and the obstacles. When you persist, you demonstrate not just your commitment to your goal, but your belief in your own abilities. The power of persistence lies in its ability to transform setbacks into comebacks. Every time you encounter a failure or a challenge, you have a choice. You can let it stop you, or you can use it as a stepping stone to become stronger, wiser, and more determined. The road to success is not for the faint of heart, but for those who are willing to keep pushing, keep learning, and keep growing. And it's that persistence that will eventually lead you to where you want to go. So ask yourself, what would your life look like if you approached every challenge with unwavering persistence? It would look unstoppable. It would look focused, committed, and resilient. It would be a life defined not by the challenges you face, but by how you rise above them. The difference between dreams that remain dreams and dreams that become reality is persistence. The more persistent you are, the more unstoppable you become. Your future is not determined by the obstacles in your path, but by your ability to persist in the face of them. Keep going, no matter how tough it gets, because the breakthrough is often just around the corner. Others, what if your greatest strength lies in your ability to stand firm in the face of fear? Fear is something that every single person experiences. It's a natural part of being human. But what if the key to your growth, your success, and your transformation lies not in avoiding fear, but in confronting it head on? Fear has a powerful way of shaping our lives. It can hold us back from pursuing our dreams, from taking risks, from stepping outside of our comfort zones. It can make us question our abilities, our worth, and our potential. But here's the truth. Fear is not a barrier. It's a signal that you're on the verge of something great. The reality is that fear doesn't go away. It's something we must learn to live with, and more importantly, something we must learn to move through. Every time we feel fear, it means we're stepping into uncharted territory. We're growing and we're expanding beyond our current limitations. Fear often comes when we push ourselves to do something new, to break a habit, or to take on something bigger than we've ever attempted before. It's in these moments when fear appears that the opportunity for growth is at its highest, but only if we stand firm in the face of it. One of the most powerful aspects of fear is how it influences the choices we make. Fear can cause us to doubt ourselves, hesitate, and even make decisions that hold us back from reaching our potential. How many times have you stopped yourself from taking an opportunity because of the fear of failing or the fear of judgment from others? How many times have you held back your dreams because of the voice inside that says, "You're not good enough," or "What if you fail?" These thoughts are normal, but they are also limiting. Fear has a way of convincing us that it knows more about our future than we do. It tells us that if we stay safe, if we stay comfortable, we will be protected. But the truth is, fear keeps us small. It holds us in a state of stagnation, keeping us from becoming who we are truly capable of being. The real power, however, comes when we learn to move forward despite the fear. When we stand firm in the face of fear, we learn to trust ourselves and our abilities. It's not about waiting for the fear to go away. It's about moving through it, step by step, and allowing ourselves to grow stronger with every step we take. Every time you make the choice to face your fear, rather than retreat from it, you build confidence. You prove to yourself that you can handle whatever comes your way, that you are capable of overcoming the obstacles that seem insurmountable at first. The most successful people, the most accomplished individuals, are not those who are free from fear. They are the ones who have learned to stand firm in its presence. They acknowledge their fear, but do not let it dictate their actions. They use fear as a tool, as a guide, to show them that they are on the right path. Fear becomes a signal that they are pushing past their comfort zones, growing beyond what they thought was possible, and reaching new levels of greatness. They don't let it stop them. They let it drive them forward. This is where true transformation happens, when we stop running from fear and start using it to propel us toward our goals. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of the unknown. These are all natural, but they do not define us unless we allow them to. The power to succeed lies not in the absence of fear, but in our ability to take action in spite of it. Every time you step forward in the face of fear, you strengthen your ability to face even greater challenges. The fear that once paralyzed you becomes the very thing that pushes you toward your potential. So, ask yourself, what is the fear that's holding you back from moving forward? What would your life look like if you stood firm in the face of that fear, if you chose to act in spite of it? The truth is that fear will always be a part of your journey, but it doesn't have to be the thing that holds you back. When you learn to stand firm in the face of fear, you unlock a new level of strength and possibility within yourself. Fear no longer controls you. It becomes a force that drives you towards success, growth, and transformation. And when you can do that, you begin to realize that your greatest strength was there all along, waiting for you to acknowledge it and use it to create the life you desire. In conclusion, the journey toward transformation and success is not one defined by perfection or the absence of obstacles, but by how we respond to the challenges and fears that inevitably arise along the way. Every element we've discussed, mindset, belief, action, fear, persistence, purpose, confidence, growth, and transformation, intertwines to create a foundation for a life of purpose and power. Your mindset shapes the reality you live in. When you choose to believe in your own potential and reprogram your brain, you break free from the chains of limiting beliefs and step into a future full of possibility. Belief becomes the driving force behind your actions. By embracing a new set of empowering beliefs, you craft a blueprint for success that aligns with your true desires. In this journey, persistence becomes your ally. The road will not always be smooth, but it is in those moments of adversity where your greatest growth occurs. Every failure, every setback is an opportunity to rise stronger, to show up with more determination, and to take another step forward. And as you persist, your purpose and confidence will guide you, keeping you aligned with your vision and fueling you with the energy to continue when others might give up. Fear, rather than being something to run from, should be understood as a signal of growth. Standing firm in the face of fear, facing it head-on with courage and resolve, becomes the pathway to success. It is through confronting our fears that we unlock the true power within us, revealing strengths and capabilities we never knew we had. Transformation is not a distant dream. It is an ongoing process that requires conscious effort, resilience, and the willingness to challenge the status quo. When you take action from a place of belief, when you persist despite the obstacles, when you act in alignment with your purpose and face your fears head-on, you begin to create a life of true transformation, one that reflects the greatness within you. So, ask yourself today, what would your life look like if you embraced your full potential? If you chose persistence over quitting, belief over doubt, purpose over pressure, and action over fear? The life you desire is waiting on the other side of those choices. And with the right mindset, unwavering persistence, and a deep sense of purpose, you are fully equipped to step into that future.